Hello!
Hello!
And welcome to
Finish
Big.
More importantly,
Yeah?
I have to say,
What?
previously on Finish Big. Oh, Luke Malloy, I love you too. But we have to destroy the anti-time things.
Yeah, so we are listening our way through all of Big Finish, all the different releases and different ranges. Last time we did the Villains trilogy.
Yeah.
From Doctor Who, the main range. And this time it's a anniversary special.
I have become he who sees you in your sleep. No, what was it?
He who sees you, oh, whatever. I don't know. It's complicated. Who am I? Who's this? Everywhere you go, they tell tales of the Doctor.
That's Leela.
Yeah.
I have become Zagreus.
Yes, it is the big one, the number 50 of the main range, celebrating 40 years of Doctor Who. It is the fourth villain. It is Zagreus.
He's not really a villain, is he?
Well, no, I'm just saying, because like the design, we've had Omega, Master, Davros, and then this carries on, doesn't it? The Zagreus of it.
Omega, Master, Davros, and then Zagreus.
Yeah, it's adding to the myth, which is a good thing. Which is what all this is about. I know this is a very divisive one.
Yeah, divisive here as well.
Divisive where are we going to start?
I mean, you calling Zagreus a villain for a start. Now, I'm not going to come to it yet, but he ain't no fucking villain. It's just Paul McGann shouting his head off for 4 hours.
Well, I'll just do the facts. I'll just do the science part.
Okay.
Right, so Zagreus was released in November 2003, starring Paul McGann as the Doctor, also featuring, how do we do this? Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, India Fisher,
Annika Wills,
Nicholas
Louise Jameson,
Courtney,
Nicola Bryant,
Louise Jameson,
Maggie Stables,
Mark Strickson, Sarah Sutton, Caroline Mowers,
Sophie Aldred as
Langford,
Captain Duck.
All Stephen Fuell's there.
Yeah,
Lisa Lawrence. Basically everyone who has worked for Big Finish before, leading up to this, has been in this. This was written by Alan Barnes and Gary Russell, directed by Gary Russell.
I've got a question for you before we even start.
I mean, where do we
talking
start?
about this epic
do we go?
4-hour story? Is this the only story that's 4 hours long? Like one story? I know we've got all these box sets that are 4 hours long. It's the next life not as long as this, is it?
Next Life is like 6 episodes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What is wrong with
yeah,
these
but it's
people?
the anniversary. Wasn't it exciting?
No, well, here's my question then. Is this the biggest gulf between expectation and deliverance? You know,
Depends if you like it or not.
How big was the gap between Neverland and Zagreus?
It was a long time. It was over a year since we had that amazing cliffhanger with Neverland. I am Zagreus.
Yeah. And you know the noise went. So
we were all waiting because we've had this amazing couple of series with Paul McGann doing new stuff. This was the new series.
So I'll tell you what my expectation was for this going in. Well, because I figured he slaps Charlie around the face at the end of Neverland, and that he's going to be this sort of bad news. And because all the advertising started coming out, all the doctors in it, in their doctor costumes, may I add, which does not happen in the story. Wait. So I figured it was going to be Paul McGann as the villain of the piece, big showcase with him as the villain, and the 3 doctors and Charlie and everybody else coming together to defeat him.
Mm-hmm.
It did not happen.
No. Well, I think the starting point was Paul McGann was interested to explore the darker side of the Doctor. So we've been building to all of this Zagreus stuff. We've had this story arc going for 2 seasons, and this is the big anniversary.
You know,
great, amazing. And anniversaries is the time to get all the Doctors and companions together. It's been done again and again. So amazing. That's great. And the more exciting thing about this is that Paul McGann is now teaming up with other Doctors and all the classic companions and everything like that. So Paul McGann is really now feels more official than he ever has before.
Yeah, totally.
And it's always great when a Doctor hasn't had that interaction like Paul McGann. Same with like Christopher Eccleston hasn't really had it yet, but it would be really special if he was there. I don't know, there's something about Doctors getting together. It's a really, it's a special thing, isn't it?
There's something about
the actors
the
working
incumbent
together.
doctor, and Paul McGann was the incumbent doctor at the time,
because he's always been a bit of an outsider,
taking
up
a
to this
dive
point.
into this much continuity. So I can see what they're doing. It's just a very odd approach.
And getting this, and I don't know if anybody else, when you bought this, you were like, oh my God, that's amazing. Look at this. And then you take out the middle disc and there's a big picture of John Pertwee there. And you're like, what the hell is going on now? Unexpected. I talk about Return from the Grave.
I thought Alan Barnes and Gary Russell got a Ouija board.
What is happening?
Well, we'll get into that.
There's so much to talk about. Let's talk about each disc bit by bit. 3 episodes.
I mean, this is the only story of Finish Big where we're going to have to do this.
We're going to have to go in order.
Because it is 4 hours long. And I'm going to say from the off, this is too long. And it is too padded. And this story could easily have been told in 1.5 discs. Just the standard 4-part story, this could have been easily. With the amount of plot that's involved.
Yeah, okay. So, part one, Wonderland.
Yes.
Now we are carrying on straight from the end of Neverland. The Doctor and Charlie are in the TARDIS. The Doctor is Zagreus. He's been taken over by the anti-time. Charlie is alone. And actually, I'm a bit confused already. Is it sort of like a Matrix projection, or we weren't sure if it was in the TARDIS? There's some weird stuff going down.
I think as we were listening to it, we figured it was in the TARDIS, and then somewhere in the disc 3, they drop that it's in the Matrix.
So think of
the Mind Robber.
Well, think Deadly Assassin, weirdness. Think Ultimate Foe. It's all happening in the Matrix. What's true, what's not. Fine. Okay. And
no, not fine.
Well, no, because
fine for you.
Wonderland, as in Alice in Wonderland, and that's a big part of this first episode because it's about, there's the book in the TARDIS, Alice in Wonderland, which was Charlie's as a childhood, and the TARDIS has taken that, and it's all about sort of metaphors for like what's going on, trying to show Charlie the way, show the Doctor the way of what's been going on, because it's all a bit confusing.
May I speak?
And you didn't like this because you were like, it's going from one thing to another. You're saying there's no plot. You were complaining. We were trying to listen to it, and you're talking over the top of it, going, "There's nothing going on. This is terrible." Your reviews were coming out already, but it's based on Alice in Wonderland. She goes from one weird thing to another to another. That is what Alice in Wonderland did. That's what Zagreus. That is what's happening. That's what's happening in this story. It's Charlie as Alice going from all these weird things, meeting all these people, and all the actors. Well, I mean, we haven't said this. They're not playing the Doctors. They're not playing the companions. They're all playing completely different things because it's a TARDIS projection using their faces for other things, which I think is a very interesting idea. And it's doing something different, and it's trying to look forward and not look back and do a 3 Doctors or a 5 Doctors or anything like that. So far, so good for me. Over to you.
Well, the trouble is that Alice in Wonderland is a truly appalling piece of fiction. It's awful.
So appalling that it's endured all these years.
Well, I mean, it's good. Some people think that about Doctor Who. No, just all this rando stuff happening. Now, you say this is a take on Alice in Wonderland. Let me speak, please. And that is true. There are some metaphors and allusions to Alice in Wonderland occasionally. They don't even lean into it completely. Every now and again, someone's hopping along like a rabbit, or the Cheshire Cat comes along. Or so. Throughout the 4-hour piece, every now and again, they lean into Alice. It's not all the time.
No, mainly in this first episode.
Then they head into the past and these experiments that are going on with Peter Davison. Then we go to Gallifrey and there's all these vampires. Well, what? I don't remember there being experiments in the past in Alice in Wonderland.
We're talking about Wonderland Part 1.
Okay, well then I'll talk about Part 1, Wonderland.
Yes, Nana Saville tried.
Easily the weakest piece of writing I have heard so far from Finish Big in this entire run. The weakest thing, okay? And because it is literally 70 minutes of Charlie going, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? I don't understand. A rabbit." And it's Paul McGann literally screaming at himself. I felt so sorry for Paul McGann. You've got this projection of John Pertwee coming in with this weird distortion, so we can barely hear what he's saying. So Paul McGann's having a one-sided conversation with himself. Then he starts having a conversation, Zagreus versus the Doctor. So he's still just barking at himself. And it's just
No, but I think the idea is that it's the two elements of the Doctor. You've got the Zagreus part and you've got the Doctor part, and they're battling between each other. And yes, there's a lot of him talking on his own, but I think that's the whole point, isn't it? Because you've got that sort of fizzy sound effect over the top when he's Zagreus.
Annoying.
And then when he's the Doctor, so he's sort of flitting back and forth. It's like a power struggle between the two. And okay, the John Pertwee bit, let's talk about that. That is not...
You can't understand a fucking word he's saying.
And I think Gary Russell has
Do your impression.
But you should be.
And then Paul McGann's going, What are you trying to say to me? What are you trying to say to me?
I know, okay, so that was taken from Devious, the fan film thing. They're just random clips. And I think in an interview that Gary Russell did, he did say, well, it's perfectly clear what it was saying to me, but I think if you know that clip and you've seen that, you can hear it. But if you'll come into it not knowing that, then you can't. And it must have been some kind of copyright thing where they couldn't actually use official John Pertwee stuff. So they've just got this random bit. And we were saying there should be clips of him. They could have got better clips from like convention interviews or something, shouldn't they, with him talking, or, from Dimension in Time or something. They could have had, I heard it was thick. I thought they were talking about his waist. All those clips you could put in. But
I love coming to these conferences.
Yeah. What's that ship? What can you hear? The conferences.
As a complete side note, can I just say I realise it's a labour of love for you people, yeah. But I have seen what you've done so far with Devious over the last 30 years. Give it up, guys. It ain't no good, okay? And also give it up with Zagreus, because this ain't good either.
It's John Pertwee regenerating, isn't it? Isn't he a console like this? Isn't he? Goes,
yeah, it's really terrible.
Anyway, but yeah, the John Pertwee bit isn't great and probably shouldn't be that. I mean, if they're doing that, why not shoving a bit of Tom Baker or shoving a bit of William Hartnell or something?
We literally do that. So we have, it's intercut with scenes with Charlie and her mother.
I know, and we know that it's not real because it's like,
so why
as
do we care?
It's Annika Wills as her mother, Elizabeth Sladen as her school teacher, and all of this stuff.
Why do we care then?
But it's a mystery at this stage.
Yeah, it's a mystery while I'm listening to the thing.
Every Doctor Who episode starts off like this, some weird thing. Like the Mind Robber. You love the Mind Robber. The Mind Robber, you could just say this. That's the worst bit of storytelling. They go from this to this to this to this. Doesn't make any sense.
Rob did say
But it's enjoyable and it's atmospheric. And I think
please let me
you've
speak.
had all this
Please let me speak.
Well, I'm just trying to defend it because you've been really horrible about Zagreus already.
Yeah, because the first disc is truly, truly awful.
I know, I like that the best, actually.
No, I like the third one the best by a mile. The Mind Robber plays by its own rules. It sets up, it's a land of fiction and it has rules. But there are no rules to this.
But there are.
You just pop in and out of places.
There are, because then you have the Brigadier TARDIS projection thing guiding Charlie, tries to say, look, there's a reason we're going to Cardington here where the R101 was. There's a reason why we're going here. And then you have the Fifth Doctor and his companions as the main bit in this playing. He's a vicar. Is he a vicar?
Yeah.
And you've got Nicola Bryant as the science officer. And this is where you get the divergent universe plot threads coming in. So it is starting to make sense, but it's because it's all in the Matrix. It's trying to do it in all metaphors and stuff. So it's showing a bit of history where accidentally this rip in time happened. And that's where they're explaining something weird's going on. So it's setting up, and it's quite a good cliffhanger at the end of that because something is coming through, but we don't know what. And Charlie's been guided through by the TARDIS. Okay, carry on then.
Well, yeah, but it takes 40 minutes to get to Peter Davison.
But you've got all of these different characters. You've got all these actors to shove in. That's like saying like the Five Doctors should be over in half an hour.
You need to have all of these actors in there.
You don't need all the actors wandering around in the Five Doctors.
If you need to tell a 4 fucking hour story, stretching out an hour-long plot to 4 hours to fit in all these actors, then don't include all these actors and write a good story. This is so indulgent.
I think, okay, maybe it's 3-hour episodes. Maybe they could have cut it down to a 6 episodes. So you've got a few more breaks.
Minutes. I'm sorry,
so
the plot of this story would fit in 70 minutes easily. Because
some of the atmosphere.
And we'll get to it in the third part. When the plot actually kicks in, yeah, it's good ideas and it's dealt with in 5 minutes of exposition and then no climax. So all of this lead and build up to these huge events, it never happens. So why are we bothering?
Okay, what are the highlights of this first episode for you then?
Very little, if I'm honest. I wrote in my notes, there's zero context to anything that's happening, so it just feels like random things happening for no discernible reason. That there isn't a narrative at this point because we're ducking in and out of weird places. So there isn't a story that's building. It's just stuff that's going on. So the first 72 minutes are just wacky vignettes and baffling actor cameos. And at this point, we have no clue why these actors are playing these roles. And because everybody has come with this huge expectation of companions and doctors. So suddenly have, Nicola Bryant going, awfully, old chap.
It gives all these actors, it's celebrating the actors that have been in Doctor Who, and they can show you can actually play something else. Nicola Bryant is a great example of that. She's playing this scientist person. She doesn't have to do a Perry accent. I think she's one of the strongest parts in this first episode. Obviously, Paul McGann and India Fisher are strong throughout.
This is Paul McGann's worst performance by a mile.
I think Peter Davison's good in this.
Like nobody does their best
work. But it's giving them a chance
when they're
to do something
walking around going, girl, where are you, girl?
Also, I think
this isn't good acting.
But if you had all the doctors and companions, great, amazing, and they're all just bickering and doing everything, it would be a huge disappointment as well. So I don't think you can win at all with an anniversary story. You'd be complaining, you'd be like, oh, well, it's these doctors meeting again. Oh, Perry's complaining about something. Mark Strickland's playing Turlough boring again. Oh, this is the five doctors all over again. What's the point?
I mean, Once and Future's worse than this.
And I appreciate that they're looking forward to doing something different and celebrating the actors.
Once and Future was like 8 hours long, which is like double the length of this, and has a million.
Yeah, exactly. You'd end up with a Once and Future.
Yeah, but this basically is a Once and Future story.
No, but it's doing something different.
It's just throwing in loads of actors in bizarre roles and taking a long time to get to the fucking point. And in this first disc, the first 17 minutes, which is the usual length of a Doctor Who story on audio, minus 20 minutes, we've got to no point whatsoever, and we don't understand why any of it is important, and nobody is pulling any clues together to give us any answers. So for me, it was unintelligible, tedious to listen to, and nobody was doing their best work. So I can understand why, when people got this absolutely gorgeous disc through the post that is beautifully packaged, and put that first disc on and went, what the fuck is this? I absolutely understand that. I said to you, can we please wait a day before we do disc 2? Because I just couldn't listen to any more. I couldn't endure any more of this nothing, which is what that first disc was. I do think things get better after that, and I would like to talk about that. But that first disc, Wonderland, that is my first 0 out of 10 for Finish Big.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, let's go on. So we end up with this explosion, and we're not sure what's happened. And there's this rip in time.
We do find out, don't we? But not till part 3.
So then Heartland is the sixth Doctor, 6th and 7th, basically.
Now you're talking!
So we have Maggie Stables, Bonnie Langford, Nicola Bryant, Colin Baker all together in a scene playing Ancient Ones of Gallifrey. Mm-hmm. So he's a vampire. You got the vampire, you got the Sisterhood of Khan, pre-Rassilon. And then Charlie comes into that, and they think that she's Rassilon. They can see her as Rassilon because it's all this Matrix projection.
I'm not entirely sure why that
Whatever's going on
never
there.
Mind.
Fine.
But Colin Baker as the creepy, charming vampire Time Lord was brilliant. Maggie Stables as the impatient and snappy, grumpy. She's a Time Lady, is she? Or is she a Sisterhood of Khan?
I think she's a Sisterhood. I think she's
and then you've got Bonnie Langford as the simpering member of the Sisterhood of Khan. Oh, mother, and then Nicola Bryant comes in with her American accent, doesn't she? As fellow vampire to Colin Baker. All these scenes, it's so much more fun because it's just them sort of camping it up.
But then this is where you get a bit more of the plot, because you find out that Rassilon discovered this race that would come through into our universe and eventually destroy it. So he saw a threat, so he banished them to an alternative universe, but then it's said that they would finally break through at the end of this universe, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's more in part 3. They talk about that.
Well,
more
they
in part
talk
3.
about it, but
they start introducing
they start
the ideas
introducing
here.
those elements, and
Sort
then
of an
meanwhile,
hour and a half
you've got
into
the
the
Brigadier
story.
going back and forth between Charlie, well, Brigadier TARDIS projection, whatever, between the Doctor and Charlie, sort of guiding them both. Yeah, okay, less to do with the Doctor, it's more the same with the Doctor in this. It is getting a bit repetitive at this point because he's wandering around.
I started to
little
relax
bit.
a little bit now. Well, I've got a lot of notes about this middle bit, so may I? So, I did find all of this conversation about the Doctor is Zagreus, now and forever, an insane despot. Well, it would be quite nice if we actually got to see that at some point in this 4-hour story.
But so he can't leave the TARDIS. He's scared to leave the TARDIS because it will unleash the Zagreus-ness out into the world. But this is where it's interesting because it's implying that things have changed forever. It's not going to be a quick fix. He's like this forever. And that was the point of these 8th Doctor stories, is to go forward in a direction, and it doesn't need to fit in between Caves of Androzani and Planet of Fire or whatever.
I think in order
it's doing new stuff. And how is he going to get out of this?
In order to suggest that this man is an insane despot and a danger to the universe, you have to see him as an insane despot and a danger to the universe. And we don't. We just hear Paul McGann shouting in the TARDIS.
If he's let out, the whole universe will be gone and we won't be able to see it. It's that dangerous.
It's just terrible. I'm sorry. As a villain, as the 4th part of the villains trilogy, Zagreus is fucking lame as. And there's nothing scary about him at all.
The myth. It's creating a new, Omega, Rassilon, Morbius, Zagreus is now there.
What's mythic about him? He's shouting in a corridor. What's mythic about that?
And you don't know what's going on with Rassilon.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, okay, carry on.
Let's do it. Davros brought down the entirety of Skaro. Omega created the black hole and the time experiments. Rassilon created the web of time. Zagreus shouted in a corridor.
But isn't he a weapon that Rassilon is creating to stop the divergent universe coming through?
No, but they're packaging him as a villain, and you never see it. You never see him as a villain. It just annoyed me. You've got Comrade Westmass there as the Cheshire Cat, and I have to say, this is the most fun you will ever hear him having in Big Finish, because when he gets to play careers, and we know it wasn't the best of times, was it? This sort of as actors together playing those roles, and the writing as well leans into him being quite a serious character, whereas as the Cheshire Cat he gets to be a bit sarky and a bit charming, and he plays the comedy really well, so I really like that. It's cute having all of Colin's companions together, Bonnie, Nicola and Maggie.
That's nice,
and they just have wonderful chemistry with him, so all those scenes are wonderful. And I did like the fact that we're doing vampires means that we're leaning into that Gallifrey sort of mythic backstory.
Well, it's covering all of it, yes, isn't it? And we have the Death Zone later on.
And I will say, throughout this entire story, Andy Hardwick's music, that sort of swelling music. I mean, I love the comedy.
I feel like this is the most orchestral we've got.
By far.
This is pre-Murray Gold.
When Don Warrington says, previously on Doctor Who, and then the music goes, dun, dun, dun.
I like the sort of, do-do-do. It's a bit Chimes of Midnight.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah. So I liked all the vampire stuff, but then they started talking about symbiotic nuclei, regeneration.
Yes, but also it's an anniversary story. They're shoving in every reference to everything ever because that's what fans love, and that's what it's all about as well. It's doing all of that stuff.
What's sort of annoying about that, though, is it's the same thing that annoyed me in the first part. Is the first part they're talking about religion and morality and things like this in wartime, but they never really explore it in a story. They just bring it up and talk about it. And in this, they're talking about the technobabble and the symbiotic nucleus and regeneration and all this. But again, none of it's a story. It's all exposition. And then we just sort of move on from it. So it's like they've got a tick sheet and they're going, right, symbiotic nuclei, vampires, regeneration, Rassilon, Dark Tower, and they go through it one after another. But actually, none of it informs the story. So it's just in there to be included in there because it's Doctor Who continuity. There's a bit where Rassilon is accused of being an old fraud. Colin Baker's calling him a fraud, isn't he? Saying that he sent Omega and Van der Garen off to their deaths and all this. So the idea is that Rassilon actually isn't the mythic being that we know, and he's actually a bit of a coward. And we see some of that in Disc 3. So that's fairly interesting. My favourite part of this second disc was when Colin Baker got a speech and he was so angry, where he says to Rassilon, you drove us out of E-space. You came after us because we were a threat to you, and we didn't even attack sentient beings until you forced us out of our home galaxy, and we had to feed on something. So again, it's the idea that Rassilon's a big villain, isn't it?
But then this is what's great about giving these actors something different to play. Because they get to do things like that, get to do something different.
I mean, I would have said Colin was my favourite until Sylvester McCoy turned up.
So the next part is, so that's at the sort of beginning of time, and then we go straight forward into the future, because the idea is that the Divergent universe, I hope I'm getting all this right, by the way, everyone. I might be getting all this wrong. They're saying that they're going to break through at the end of the universe. So we go to the end of the universe where we've got this.
Is it Gallifrey?
Fake. Well, I don't think so. It's not supposed to be the two Death Zone.
They said that the theme park was on Gallifrey in the far future.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I'm not sure why Gallifrey became a theme park. Anyway,
it's Disneyland, but not Disneyland.
It's Uncle Winky's World of Wonders.
So all of these animatronic animals have been left for like 6 billion years or whatever, and they've sort of taken over and doing their own war and stuff.
Including Sophie Aldred as Captain Duck.
So this is where Sylvester McCoy's companions come in, Lisa Bauman, Sophie Aldred, Stephen Fuel is in there.
Yeah.
They're all there.
Lisa Bauman, may I say, as Sergeant Gazelle, is having a wonderful day. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Where can I take you, sir? She's having wonderful. Sophie Aldred just sounded like Sophie Aldred going, hello, I'm Sergeant Duck.
And Uncle Winky is taken out of suspended animation, who is this Walt Disney character, meets Charlie. I mean, when does he talk to, is it Charlie, where he's like, don't worry, dear, you're all alone.
No, he's like, oh, you're looking very perturbed. Come here, I'll give you a little hug. Oh, a lovely squeeze. But at the same time, he's going, what is life without children? The laughter of children. I'm going, you're making him a pervert and someone who's obsessed with children. Maybe this is where my opinion that Sylvester McCoy is a pervert has come from. He's always playing perverts.
He did everything apart from play the spoons here. He should have played the spoons over India Fisher's tits to celebrate the 40th anniversary.
I've got to say, he's having great fun with the role.
Oh yeah,
playing these mad comic excesses, and frankly, we need some fun in this story. So
I did like that. Oh, and Bonnie Langford is like Goldilocks. Is it Goldilocks? And like evil, talking to Tinkerbell and all of that stuff.
Oh, Bonnie was, yeah.
That's quite fun.
My favourite line was when Sylvester McCoy went, "Is this my Winky Wonderland?" Mark, is this my Winky Wonderland?
So then that's the reason, though, is because it's the end of the universe and these things are going to come through. And then we get all this Jabberwock stuff. So meanwhile, the Doctor's trying to fight
by this point, I was like,
all the Lewis Carroll.
Enough of this now. Like, there's indulgent, there's leaning into this stuff, and then there's like, okay, we've now been doing this for nearly 3 hours. Can we wrap this shit up, please?
Lalla Ward and Louise Jameson save it towards the end. So we actually have something that's not a projection for once. And it's actual Gallifrey, actual President Romana, who we've seen from Neverland, fairly recent, carrying on.
Why are they there? It's Rassilon. Rassilon brought Romana because he wants her deposed.
And then Rassilon possesses Leela, but this is where Romana and Leela meet for the first time, and K9. And we get the idea. If anything comes out of Zagreus that's good, it's the Gallifrey series.
Thank you, Zagreus, for that.
This is setting that up.
I will endure your 4 hours of nonsensical bullshit
and it makes
in order to get the Gallifrey
that
series.
Romana's there because she was in Neverland and everything, so that follows through. Then part 3, Wasteland.
Yes. So much to say about this part. Oh, I've got to say, the blowing of the horn of Rassilon at the end of part 2 is great. That's a brilliant cliffhanger. And we said, you only need that noise to know exactly where you are, don't you?
Okay, so part 3, Jabberwock stuff. You have flying on a Jabberwock with the 5th, 6th, 7th Doctor people.
Just because people.
It feels very epic.
Epic. It feels very indulgent.
Okay. This did go on a little bit too long, this episode, I think. I prefer the earlier
I think
episode.
This is the strongest part.
But then so this is where, Nicholas Courtney, who isn't used very much in Big Finish at all. Of all the things, he's got this big part as this evil TARDIS thing.
So
but the whole
question is he an evil TARDIS because of the?
I think Zagreus
energies?
anti-time infected the TARDIS.
Okay,
So it's created this Brigadier evil TARDIS.
It's not made explicit early.
No.
So it feels like it's just the TARDIS that's fucking pissed that the Doctor put all the anti-time inside of it when the time station exploded.
So, yeah.
And you know what? When I first listened to this way ago, when I did my doco reviews for this, that was the thing that I really hated about this. The idea of taking the Doctor's one constant companion and turning him into this nasty, bitchy, sort of vicious thing that wants to torture him. And they have scenes where the Doctor goes, you're jealous of Charlie. And I thought, are we doing soap operatics with the TARDIS?
But it's funny that it's played by Nicholas Courtney as well, being just
so
bitch.
Weird.
Nicholas Courtney, the bitch.
I get that is a big idea and that's something that's never been done before.
Yeah, I think it's good to do something different.
It's something that's never been done before because it's sadistic and nasty and horrible. There's scenes in Star Trek, right? They do it a couple of times in Next Generation where Data goes bad and he tortures his best friend, Geordie LaForge, and it's just the worst bit of television. It's horrible to watch. And listening to the TARDIS say to the Doctor, I hate you. You never asked me if I wanted to sacrifice myself. I'm jealous of your companion. It's bold, but it's just distasteful. I really don't like it. So I didn't like that.
I didn't mind it at all.
And especially the dialogue that sounds like, neighbours. You know, you're jealous, you're leaving me and all this. Oh, no, thank you.
How does it wrap up though?
So here's another issue.
This is where I get a bit lost, it's Zagreus. I think it's one of these ones where you just want to listen and it sort of rolls over your ears.
No!
And it doesn't really matter. I think that's what...
Waited with it for 4 hours. I want a climax. Okay. And the climax never comes, and that's really annoying. So the idea is that the Divergents, if they came into our universe, they would completely restructure matter to our design. They're described as being so elemental, so primal, the forces. So what Rassilon did was at the end of Neverland, when the time station exploded and all the anti-time, he made it so the Doctor survived, right, and the anti-time was a part of him as Zagreus. And then he wants to use Zagreus then to cut them out of time one by one. It's sort of like using a knife, an anti-time knife, He wants them all destroyed because the Divergents, if they come into our universe, will be a threat to the web of time. The unfortunate thing is and Rassilon did appear at the end of Neverland. You remember he talks to Romana,
yes, he did.
So that does sort of make sense. Is that's all told via exposition? None of it's actually shown in the story. We've had 3 hours where we could have seen all this play out. No, instead, Don Warrington, who's brilliant, but has to sort of regurgitate all of this plot information as well as he possibly can. And then instead of us, the Divergents coming in and the Doctor being used as a weapon, the door to the Divergent universe is opened and the Doctor just shoves Rassilon through and goes, see ya! And that's the end of the story.
But it's setting up for the Divergent universe stuff later on, so it's probably on purpose it's not completely wrapped up. But it's left open to continue the future.
In terms of narrative, do you understand that it's frustrating that you've waited 4 hours for some kind of culmination of all of this, and actually about 2/3 of what you've seen already is all fluff and not really relevant. And what is relevant is regurgitated as a 5-minute exposition scene, and then you're denied a conclusion. And Gary Russell says in the book, he goes, this was never supposed to be a conclusion to Neverland. It was just a next step on the journey.
Yeah.
But you can't have a 4-hour step with no kind of cohesion and no kind of conclusion in its own right. That means it's just an insubstantial
it
paving
does have an
stone.
ending because the Doctor is accepting that he needs to go. It's that bit with Romana saying, you're banished now from the universe. Things will never be the same again. You need to leave this universe and never come back. And then the Doctor saying, Charlie, I can't travel with you. I have to go. I'm going to go. That is the ending. That is these things have changed forever now. We're not going to have a reset button.
Let's take that then. That on what you just said there, the Doctor choosing to go into the Divergent universe. So this is the 40th anniversary story, yeah. And we've brought together all the companion actors and all of this, and And in order to celebrate Doctor Who, we have the Doctor, as played by Paul McGann, literally saying to his friends, "Fuck you, I'm done with Gallifrey," which is what he says. "I'm done with all of you, and I'm done with this universe. I'm going off into that universe to try and find the Divergence."
That's because he got infected with anti-time and messed them all up.
You think that is a positive anniversary statement?
I'm not saying it needs to be
Through
positive.
you, everybody I've spent the last 40 years with, I'm off to have some new adventures here. And by the way, Charlie, you're dumped.
Yeah, well, it's going off into, it's like I'm heading off into new territory.
Awful.
That's going to be exciting and scary and unpredictable.
At that point, when you've got India Fisher going, "You're dumping me?"
That's the same as the
You're
first.
dumping?
It happened in Unearthly Child. He left Gallifrey, said "fuck you" to Gallifrey, and went off and had 40 years worth of adventures. And now we're starting all over again.
And Unearthly Child starts with a mystery where we don't get any of that.
What's the mystery going into a whole new universe?
We don't get any of it.
Nobody knows.
It's such a weird statement to make. Basically, all those adventures you've enjoyed, I don't want that anymore. I'm going to go and do this instead. Oh, and by the way, screw a lot of you. It's so weird. It's such a weird sentiment. Don't you think?
No.
Oh, I think you're mad. And poor India Fisher, with the, "You're dumping me, Doctor.
I mean,
you're not the man I met."
We are following her throughout this whole story. She is the main anchor for the audience. And I think it's right that because she's had those 2 seasons, she's the current companion, to put her front and centre of Zagreus. Come on, you like India Fisher, you love Charlie.
It's a heroic performance.
It's brilliant, I think,
from India Fisher.
It's
and
her story.
She is the actress that makes this whole thing tolerable from beginning to end. If she wasn't there doing a Johnny Gumption sort of acting.
I love all that. That's why I'm just quite happy to listen to it all the way through. Just hear Charlie go from one thing to another.
I know, but I like something a bit more sophisticated with some actual storytelling involved.
Okay.
Right. Well, I wrote down here in my notes, the Doctor goes, "Now I exile myself." He heads off into the Divergent universe, and it should be a springboard into exciting new adventures. Well, I think that's what they're going for. But instead, it's the Doctor running away, angry and bitter, turning his back on Gallifrey, and it just feels like a miserable way to say goodbye to the last 40 years. It is baffling. The whole thing just baffles me. And I think there are fun vignettes along the way. And there are
by no means the worst.
There are some very energetic performances.
Once and Future or Zagreus?
I think there's parts of Once and Future that are miles better than Zagreus.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, Light at the End or Zagreus?
I think I'd rather listen to Light at the End. It's half as long.
Zagreus. I like Zagreus. Come on, everyone. We like Zagreus.
Well, you'll see in the comments that people do like Zagreus.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I can only say what I think when I'm listening to it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want me to sit here and lie and say I thought it was wonderful?
No, but I thought you'd find some more interesting, something you could get out of it.
You've got to remember one thing. I don't particularly like anniversary stories. I don't like Time Lord mythology. And I don't usually like scripts written by Gary Russell. So I'm sort of struggling a bit here.
Oh, look at Russell on the back there. There they all are.
Okay, well, why do you summarise it then? You summarise it and then I'll summarise it.
I mean, it's an anniversary story. It's supposed to get everybody together. That's what happens. But it's doing something different that we've not had before. It's looking forward, and it's going into a bold new direction of unknown. It is. It's going to somewhere else.
Bringing up a lot of the past.
It's changing things. It's not just going, well, we're all going home together then. See you later. Nice to meet you. We've had a bit of a bicker now.
Oh, I mean, at the end,
it's doing something
it does.
different. Yeah, but it's heading that way. So that's what I like about it.
Do you like all of these actors in these weird roles?
Yes, I think it's interesting.
Why?
Just because it's your familiar voices, but they're just given something different to do. And being in the Matrix and things, it's the perfect opportunity to do it. I'd rather that than Deborah Watling turning up as what's her name in Three's a Crowd or something, trying to be something completely different.
Well, Gary Russell does say
not.
that he wanted to fit in. Actually, I do have trivia if you want to hear something.
Oh, give us some trivia.
Okay, hang on. Zagreus isn't a resolution to Neverland, Gary Russell says. It's the next step in the storyline. Once I knew what Neverland was about and where it was going, I knew exactly what Zagreus was going to be and where it was going. Okay, so the first plan was to do something featuring the Valeyard. And he even thought he was going to have the Valeyard and Ray from Delta and the Bannermen in it.
That would have been fun.
But then that ended up being He Jest at Scars instead. Initially, it was Gary's intention to write Zagreus himself. That's my ego, he says. Long before I knew it was Zagreus, I wanted to write the 40th anniversary story. Once I convinced myself and Jason of the fact, I realised that actually that was insane. I needed to have a good writer. Oh, Gary, I love you. I've never co-written fiction before. It's not something I believed my ego could cope with. But I also realised when working with Alan Barnes on Storm Warning and Neverland, that here was a man whose work I respected and loved, and a person I'd known for donkey's years, who has no ego, and so there wouldn't be any clashes. In fact, Alan Barnes says here that he first found out about it when he was working on Doctor Who magazine, and he was doing a thing for Gallifrey Guardian, and it said Zagreus, co-written by Gary Russell and Alan Barnes. He was like, phoned him up and went, am I doing this then? He says at the end, what's it he puts? You got me again, Gary. Okay. It was a very quick and simple write, really. We combined our segments into one big draft and then read and rewrote each other's. They just consisted of a few tweaks. I then did a read-through of Clayton Hickman and John Binns and realised there was quite a bit of repetition. Really? And a lot of padding that needed to go. What about all the padding that was left in? Anyway, sorry. Actually, 99% of the cuts were things that I'd written or overwritten. Rassilon had 1 or 10 dreary long speeches to himself to explain the plot. I think they made it in. Yawn, 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 he says. I cropped some of the Eighth Doctor talking to Zagreus. Really? He does it for 40 minutes. How long did it go on for before? Oh, my word. And a scene set in the Foundry where Romana and her gang came under attack. Looks like scheduling was a bit of an issue. Sylvester was in the West End, Colin was on tour with his opera, Paul was doing Poirot, and Peter was doing The Last Detective, let alone what all the companions were doing. So it was piecemeal bits here and there in the studio.
It always is.
When the doctors were saying, I've got to go, my plane's in half an hour, or, look, there's a Belgian detective that needs my help, or HMS Pinafore sets sail in 3 hours. What time's Rassilon arriving? It's weird seeing how the doctors work around their other selves, he continues. Paul hits everything with great gusto and a desire to be completely believable. The scenes in the Foundry where he's working with the anvil and the others are trying to distract him was great. Paul really gave every line a good whack as he hit the hammer in that scene in rhythm. Peter was the person we had the least amount of time with, so he hit all of his scenes running. The script called for him to really, well, go for it. You think the Fifth Doctor's the quiet one, authoritative, but not as shouty as expressive as, say, the Sixth Doctor. But Peter really had a chance to scream and shout. Colin was happy to have the chance to be dark, brooding figure he always wanted to be on television.
Exactly.
And Sylvester is possibly the most normal. We'd recently done a lot of plays where he'd been quite quiet and thoughtful, and he was more akin to the wackier, more manic Seventh Doctor of his first season on TV. Into this, we thrust India Fisher, Nick Courtney, Don Warrington, John Leeson, Lala Ward and Louise Jameson, all of whom interact with all four, which of course they'd not really done before, although it did mean that no one ever really sat back or let it become too easy or lazy. Now, there's one bit of trivia that you will like.
Okay.
And that is about the Gallifrey series. Working with Ward, Jameson and Leeson partly inspired a future spin-off series. For a long time, I've been trying to sell Jason the idea of a 4-part series set on Gallifrey, called Gallifrey. Imaginative, yeah? I love the Time Lords, the CIA, the whole kit and caboodle. I tossed around the idea we'd get to Romana to lead it after working on Neverland because Lala is so much fun. During the organising of Zagreus, though, the ideas formulated more and more, and I thought it would be good to have Leela and K9 in there as well. The series is actually born out of what happens in Zagreus itself. And about the critical analysis of Zagreus, Gary is asked if he were making Zagreus again from scratch, what, if anything, would he do differently? To which he answers, ask me after it's come out and fandom has torn it to shreds for not being celebratory enough like the Five Doctors or Dimensions in Time, and I may have an answer. So
there you go.
At least he knew everyone was going to rip it to shreds.
Well, of course it is. Whatever you do, people are going to say that.
What would you say was the overall
everybody.
reaction to Zagreus?
Yeah, I don't think it went down well.
No, I can see why.
Everyone wants something more traditional, though, but I think that would have been boring. Everyone go and listen to Light at the End and have a happy time, but I'm going to go and listen to Zagreus.
I would rather go and listen to The Legacy of Time, which I think is quite an exciting anniversary box set.
Yeah, but they're more individual stories.
Actually, no, I think if you go and watch Power of the Doctor by Chris Chibnall, that shows you how you do an anniversary story, bringing back all these characters. Yeah. And actually, it's only an hour and a half and got great set pieces in it as well. It's just so long here. It's so long. We did it over, 5 days?
3 days.
In 3 segments. Yeah, but we did it across 5 days. We waited a few days between episodes because, it was unendurable. So indulgent, I don't know, unintelligible in places, as if it's being improvised in places, and without a conclusion. A 4-hour story without a climax is unacceptable on any level.
Okay. Is that your final word?
It's shit. That's my final word. I think it is inexplicably bad.
There we are. That's all from Doc O'Hare, everybody. Should we find out what everyone else thought?
I've gone red.
Gosh.
Yeah, you talk for
Right, okay, Zagreus. What do people think of Zagreus? Dave Rennie.
Dave Rennie, hello.
I still haven't a fucking clue what it's about, and every time I listen to it, I'm lost by the middle of it. Reading a synopsis didn't help much. Everyone's playing a strange character. McGann sounds angry. Yeah, just sheer crap to me.
So that's one negative. I'm going to count as we go. But Dave, I did sort of do the summary of the story in this episode, so hopefully you understand it more now.
Okay, Rod Who. The first example of total over-excess and self-indulgence in Big Finish history. There were missteps before, but these were at least pioneering, e.g. The Rapture. This, however, smacks of a production team being overcocky and delighting in their own cleverness to the audience's detriment.
Bit like the Time Monster.
No, but it is doing something different.
They're having so much fun making it, but we're having no fun listening to it, except for him.
Jason Thompson.
Hello.
I think it was a victim of the combination of doing something bold and different for an anniversary multi-Doctor story.
It's definitely bold and different, Jason.
And having the anticipation build for so long. We waited 16 months from the amazing cliffhanger ending of Neverland and got
this.
Well, the strange, fantastical tale of fairy tale characters and familiar voices in unfamiliar roles, which is good, I think. But anyway, I didn't hate it on first listen, but didn't quite get it either. On second listen, sometime later, it went down much better, and I could see what they were going for. Yeah, okay.
That's sort of positive.
Yeah. James H. We've got a rare John Pertwee audio. Let's make it inaudible. I know. That is a disappointment. There should be like a remastered version of Zagreus, I think.
Baffling, isn't it, James?
John Pertwee. We'll bring back a Time Lord hero and make him a baddie. No one will possibly expect that. We will write our own new mythology, then piss it away 25 releases down the line. Well, what happened then? What happened 25? Oh, was that the next life?
I think so, maybe. Yeah.
Basically, a clusterfuck of awfulness.
A clusterfuck of awfulness. James, I feel as if you succinctly captured my thoughts there.
David Gillespie Pratt. We've talked about Big Finish being bold and taking risks. They don't come bigger or bolder than this. We were expecting a huge oral Five Doctors style epic.
Oral? I don't think about the Five Doctors having oral.
And following the incredible Neverland, expectations were high and almost everyone hated it and still hate it.
Does he hate it?
Oh, there's another tweet. Hold on. It's too long, too self-indulgent, and the Pertwee cameo doesn't work, and having the Doctors not being the Doctor is a strange choice in an anniversary story. But the last time I listened to this, I enjoyed it much more, and I'm not sure why.
Oh, like you. Have you always enjoyed this?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Psy-Heart. So damn long. If nothing else, the Horn of Rassilon cliffhanger was great.
It is great.
I really loved the Gallifrey scenes that led to the spin-off series.
Yeah.
But it was mostly long. That's what I remember. The sheer unending hours. I like the cover still. Yeah, they are cool. They are cool
The
covers.
sheer unending hours. That's how I felt. Actually, it's very weird, how Romana treats Leela in this. She keeps calling her a savage and stupid. Well, that's not their relationship
She's a
in
bit,
Gallifrey,
yeah,
is
she's
it?
that frosty Romana that we first meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. Well, she's still quite frosty in the
They
Gallifrey
go on
ones,
to have a
isn't she?
great sort
Yeah.
of, not lesbian friendship, but friendship.
Yeah, nothing to do with lesbians. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, because they lay down their lives for each other,
That doesn't mean they're lesbian. Anyway, let's carry on.
Look out for the subtext.
Well, anyway.
I keep being told I'm missing out on lesbian subtexts.
Ho alert, Luke Malloy.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
I respect it more than I actually like it.
Is that all he's put?
Yes.
Luke, please explain yourself. Why do you respect this
that sums it up
nonsense?
perfectly. But I like it as well. Let's respect it. Who's this? Cow Josh Bebop.
Hello, Mr. Bebop.
It was an interesting concept. Each actor getting to play new roles, some more than one. The biggest problem is we don't see the past Doctors until the very end, but rather odd parodies of them. It's one of the odd surreal stories that fans didn't know how to react to. Because it was so outside their experiences, they had to take time to process it before they could tell if they liked it or not. The acting and performances were all excellent, but I'm glad they don't do this in every Big Finish story.
I'd like to tell you, Mr. Cowbop Bebop. What's his name? Cow Josh Bebop. And that is, I have now had plenty of time to ponder my thoughts of Zagreus, and I still think it's shit.
Gareth Bowley, I like it. A good way to bring in the older Doctors and keep focus on the Eighth Doctor. Yes, It is. It does focus on the star, Paul McGann.
Yeah, on his own for 4 hours, shouting at nobody.
Anyway, James Lark, I really enjoyed this on the last listen. Sure, it's bloated and uneven, and it's a shame McGann doesn't get to have fun in its own anniversary story.
Yeah,
Unlike
he has no fun in this, James.
Unlike the tired multi-Doctor fodder we've grown used to since, this still gives me a genuine nostalgic tingle.
Oh, it's something this is tired. James, I usually respect your opinion so much.
Kieran, long self-indulgent, but you know what? I still like it. The balls that Big Finish had to do this for the 40th are quite something. Yes. I also originally listened to this before I'd heard Neverland and still understood what was happening. Wow.
Do you know what? Actually, I'm just starting to come to a conclusion about this, because it's been the 30th anniversary year. They were doing all these experiments, and they did Omega and Davros and Master, and they were so precisely written. I think that might be my problem, is that they're so good.
They're very condensed. They get to the point. They cover all the bases, and then you have this over.
And has so much to say. And this has nothing to say at all in 4 hours.
Melvin Pena, Y'all know my thoughts very well on Neverland.
Yes, we do, Melvin. We know you put up insults about me and Mark every time you talk about that story.
As a two-part setup or lead into the Divergence universe arc, Neverland and Zagreus are a waste of 6 hours. Neither has anything to do with anything that follows.
I agree with him.
Yeah, but it's fun just on the way.
Neverland's great, though. Neverland is the better version of
Daniel
this.
Knight, the Tales of the Doctor speech is poetic and beautifully performed by Louise Jameson.
Yeah, that is nice, that bit.
Everywhere you go, there are tales of the Doctor.
Why is she Irish?
There
are tales of the Doctor.
The tales of the Doctor.
Sometimes they say I look like me dad. What's that song?
Who has a great double act with Lulla Ward. It's got Don Warrington in it, which is always a bonus, but it's all a bit rambling and feels like a series of cameos in search of a plot.
Mr. Lumick, who were these people?
Oscar Groucho. Like biting into a Cadbury's cream egg and finding no creamy bit in the middle.
Oh, can you imagine the disappointment of that? That's exactly the disappointment people had when they put in disc 1.
When this succeeds, it's charming. JP? What's that?
John Pertwee.
Oh, yeah, John Pertwee. How could I forget?
Big JP.
Anything Courtney does, but mostly it's like that Simpsons episode where everyone turns up to say their catchphrase. Points for attempting something new, though. I think that's a good consensus for everyone, isn't it?
I think that's a good point about the Simpsons thing. Because Elizabeth Sladen had 3 lines, didn't she, at one point? Poor old Sophie Aldrin waddles in as a duck and then waddles off again, didn't she? Although, to be fair, it's one of the more masterful performances she's given in Big Finish.
Oh, God, we've got so many. Should I just sort of do
No, come on, do a couple more.
Peter Old. I really enjoyed it. By itself, I understand how people could get confused, but if you listen to the preceding McGann Big Finish stories, it all makes perfect sense. It's high drama, bringing together a number of strands, and I think it really delivers.
Well, Peter, well, that's a bold statement.
Martin Parsons, I really like it, an off-the-wall approach to an anniversary story, but love the old Doctor actors playing different characters for most of it. They could have done something really fun with that on TV. The ending felt like a major new beginning, and Leela and Romana. Emoji.
I'll do trim visual. Go on.
Oh, it's not as bad as its larger reputation suggests.
It is.
At least it's a big, bold swing and a miss, rather than yet another random pairing of characters drawn from a hat versus Daleks. A for effort, but it's still terrible. Yeah, I'm glad there was no Daleks or whatever in this.
Actually, I do think he is right in that they are trying to do something bold. I just feel like the execution of it just lets it down on every level.
Drew Vogel.
I think it's Drew Vogel.
Oh, I don't like the story at all, but I want to say something positive, so it's clear that it was made with love, and I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, but you could say that about anything.
Yeah. James Zagreus is one of my favourite Doctor Who stories. I mostly love it for the section with Matthew Townsend. I think Peter Davison gives one of his best performances ever in that section. It's a fascinating premise too overall. I was blown away by it.
Blown away by it, he says.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so many people that love it. We can't, there's so many, we can't read them all out. Like, there's so many.
Sorry if we missed you out, but just do a few more choice ones.
Sleeping Dalek, I think it's fantastic. Totally bonkers, but I wouldn't change a second. Mrs. Crystalia, my absolute favourite Eighth Doctor story. It's such a change from his normal temperament, and we get to see Paul McGann's intensity, range and power purely through the vocal performance. Seeing the appearance of our lovely 5th and 6th and 7th Doctors is amazing too. Who's
Crystalia?
I know. Golpeda del Gnomo. This looks like a cover of a prog rock album.
It does.
From that short period in the early 70s when prog rock really had its head up its own arse, just before the arrival of punk. Well, we've all learned something today, haven't we?
Yeah.
There's so many. There's so many. No, there's a lot there. So thank you, everybody. I think it's 50-50.
The huge conclusion I've come from all of those comments is yes, some people absolutely do like Zagreus, and it is not the turkey that I consider it to be for everybody else. And I truly wish I was listening to this through your ears and yours, if I'm honest. Usually I can put myself through your eyes, you know, but this time I was just bored. Shall we find out what Doc Oho thinks?
Let's Doc Oho. It's ho 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 ho. It's Doc Oho.
There are some good moments in Zagreus.
There are.
Doc Oho.
Yes, there are.
I know. Don't faint, he says. He's got a sort of touch of melodrama about him. Most of them are captured in ideas that are tossed about aimlessly throughout the story. What is really annoying, it started so well, is how some of these notions are and how little they are explored, investigated, or even used in a dramatically satisfying way. Oh, so he quite like.
Would you give it out of 10?
I'm actually going to read out, just for once, the whole of the results section, okay?
God.
Result. But standout moment. Don't make me laugh. Result. It's not very good, is it? Zagreus fails on just about every level you can imagine. The script is dull, unintelligible, bloated fit to burst, with extraneous material. The pace is language to the point of standing still for hours. The characterization hurts like a rotting tooth. The ideas are wasted and continuity ejaculates around you like an uncontrollable stream of fan wank. This is the anniversary story. It should be reminding me of why Doctor Who is the greatest television audiobook series ever made, and instead it had the reverse effect. It left me wanting to turn my back away from this series and take a rest from it. This is what happens when you try and please your fans too much. JNT did it, so did Russell T Davies, and Gary Russell has now joined the elite. Jesus Christ. There is nobody with a critical eye watching this spiral out of control. What is needed is a firm script editor who can say enough is enough. The biggest blow to Big Finish's reputation yet. 1 out of 10.
Well, you gave He Just at Scars 0 out of 10.
How so? I like it a bit
this
more
was better than that.
Well, can I read the start of my review?
Okay.
Because I actually...
well, you could just point everyone to go to
No.
dockerwhoreviews.com.
I want to read it, though, because I had a
Okay.
stab at doing comedy.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, God.
Okay. Gary and Alan sit down together, trembling at the task ahead of them. So, says Gary, nervous to let the name pass his lips, Zagreus. Alan takes a deep breath and lets his mind relax, wondering how on earth they can do justice to the climax of the second season of McGann Audios. How about... he posits. Continuity, screamed Gary. Anniversary tale, 50th Big Finish adventure. Longest Doctor Who story of all time. I want continuity. Give the fans what they want. Alan's brow furrowed. Not again. Well, he sighed, we could explore different Eighth Doctors, across the different medias. Perhaps a throwaway gesture. Give me more. We could explain away regeneration. Gary looks excited. He gets to his feet and slaps down his fist. More. Turn Rassilon into a ranting villain? More. Make the TARDIS the villain of the piece? Have a physical representation of the ship and have the Doctor torture it? Gary punches the air with delight. More, he purrs. The great vampires, Romana, the Brigadier. Oh yeah, more. The Tomb of Rassilon, the Daleks, the Matrix, Yeti, Quarks, Drashings. More, damn you, more. The Death Zone, Barusa, Florana, Omega, Morbius. Sweat breaks on Alan's brow. Annika Wills, Elizabeth Sladen, Conrad Westmass, Mark Strickson, Sarah Sutton, Nicola Bryan, Caroline Morris, Maggie Staples, Bonnie Langford, Robert Jesek, Stephen Fuel, Sophie Aldred, Lisa Bowerman, Miles Richardson, John Leeson. They both fall to their chairs, red-faced and panting. Now that's what I'm talking about, cried Gary. But let's throw in a line towards the end that we're entering a continuity-free zone. Let's not take the piss. And thus Zagreus was born.
That was terrible. You think Zagreus is bad? I don't know Doc or Ho write anything. Oh my God.
That story's way better. Did you think that was funny?
No, I didn't think that was funny at all.
Well, people in the comments did.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if people are happy with Zagreus, they'll be happy with my short story.
Well, we're going to have a quick chronology moment.
How the hell do you summarise where this is for all these people?
Well, no. Who people?
Well, Romana, Leela.
No, it doesn't work like that. You never understand the continuity. This is set after Neverland. That's all we need to know. It doesn't matter where it's set for everyone else.
Oh, is that it then?
That is it.
That's the whole moment?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's a very quick moment, but it's set after... That's what we're looking at, isn't it?
Oh, more going on in Doc O's corner this week.
Well, I think that's it, isn't it?
Oh,
I mean, we've ranted a bit about it.
I can't believe we've gone on for an hour about one story.
Yeah, actually, that's why it feels weird. We don't usually just do one story, do we? But
no.
I think if you haven't heard it, well, listen to the previous Paul McGann stories first. Don't just pick Zagreus up and listen to it. You will not enjoy it. You need the build up to it. You need from Storm Warning right up to here, and it will be absolutely worth it if you do that in order.
Can I say something that's possibly controversial?
Oh, well, I don't think we can stop you.
I don't think Zagreus needs to exist because the Doctor and Charlie are in the TARDIS at the end of Neverland and the Doctor and Charlie are in the TARDIS at the start of Scherzo, and you could have just gone from one to the other with them waking up in that new universe.
Yeah.
And that could have been the anniversary story.
True.
A two-hander with the two exciting new leads of Doctor Who in a whole new universe to explore, in a conceptually weird and exciting story. I can't wait to cover that one because one, it's actually crafted, and two, it's only an hour and a half. Much like Peter Capaldi's very last episode, he could have regenerated at the end of the Doctor Who's, and then we could have gone straight into The Woman Who Fell to Earth quite happily. I don't feel as if Zagreus needs to exist because it doesn't really add anything to mythology whatsoever. I'll discard all of this anyway. And Rassilon being kicked in that door to the Divergence universe, I mean, it don't come to much, does it? Do we ever catch up with him?
I can't remember, but I'm very excited to find out.
Me too, riveted.
Well, Zagreus sits inside your head. Zagreus lives among the dead. Zagreus sees you in your bed and eats you while you're sleeping.
I thought that was you. We've been hearing about Zagreus since Project Twilight.
We have, yeah. It's exciting.
Inside your head.
Anyway, I'll say what's going on next.
Go on.
Well, we're just doing one release next because there's this weird number 51 in the Doctor Who main range. It's the Wormery.
You said you never wanted her in your hair.
I
but
knew
you
he was
know
gonna start
she's famous
singing.
for it.
Moment I said the Wormery.
Her name in sights.
Oh, God. But anyway,
Size of despair.
don't forget, everybody.
But as you
like
know, she's
Zagreus,
famous for it.
Don't forget to
We damn her
finish
to the devil when she's
big.
Finish beat.